Okay, so I'm just going to show you how I make my Mars bar slice, which is absolutely beautiful if I do say so myself, but everybody loves it. So I thought I would show you how to make that. So basically all you need is just a small pan, a small pot. You need 4 ounces of butter, which is 100 grams. So I'll cut that. So that's just a full proper butter, not salt reduced or anything like that. You need 4 Mars bars, but I've bought the ones that are the twin pack. So there's actually there's 4 and then another half of one. So I've done those because that's just a little bit bigger. For the top, you need 2 blocks of dairy milk chocolate, and I've put them in a bowl because I need to melt that later. Then you just need a plain mixing bowl. You need rice bubbles, so there'll be 4 cups of rice bubbles, and then just a normal sort of baking tin to put it in. Even though you don't bake it, you put it in the fridge to cool. One of these baking tins is great, and it's, as you can see, it's only probably about an inch deep, and this doesn't come anywhere near filling, sort of going that deep. So alright, so I'll show you now. I'll just get things started, and then I'll show you what we need to do. Okay, so what I've done is put 4 cups of rice bubbles in a bowl, and I'll just set that aside. So I like to have that ready first, because once the Mars bars and butter have melted, it's easier then just to, as you're stirring it, just to tip it straight on and then mix it all together. So alright, we'll cut that. Okay, and so I've cut 100 grams of the butter here, so you can see I've cut that off. So basically what we'll do now is we pop the butter into the pan to melt, along with I chop up the Mars bars. Okay, so there's the butter. I've put that in there to start melting, so you can see that that's starting to melt. So I'll just let that melt for a little bit while I chop up the Mars bars. Okay, so what I do with all the Mars bars is basically I just open up the wrapper and I just chop them up really roughly. Doesn't really matter, and it's probably easier to do these when the Mars bars are at room temperature, because if they've been in the fridge, they're probably a little bit too hard to cut and they take a lot longer to melt, so room temperature is probably best. Okay, so you can see the Mars bars I've put in there now, along with the butter. So basically all we do now is just stir this around until it's all melted. You can see the butter's pretty much melted, but you just keep doing this now until the Mars bars have melted, and then we really just add it to the rice bubbles. But yeah, so we'll just keep going. Okay, so you can see now it's really starting to melt. I do this over quite a low heat, so as to not to try not to burn the chocolate. And so really now it's just a matter of waiting for that nougat. Most of the chocolate's melted. I'm just waiting for that nougat to melt. So you just keep stirring it continuously, and yeah, once it's all melted, then we're done. Okay, so the nougat won't melt completely, but really what you want, so that there's not really any big clumps of it in there. So that's looking pretty okay now. So what I might do now is just add it to the rice bubble mix. Okay, now you have to do this quite quickly, because it does sort of start to go, like they start to go hard quite quickly. So you just need to really mix that in and make sure all the rice bubbles are mixed into the mix. Okay, alright, so this is what it looks like when you've mixed all the melted Mars bar and melted butter into it. It's quite sort of gluggy and very sticky. And you can see there, really what I'm trying to get there is to make sure that there's no sort of real white patches of rice bubbles left. You sort of want to make sure that they're all covered with some kind of liquid mixture. So it doesn't take long to stir this or to combine this, and you really need a decent sized bowl, otherwise it just goes everywhere. Like the rice bubbles will just fly out of the bowl. So alright, so that's starting to get quite tacky now. So what I might do is now just transfer it into the tin. So I've put it into the tin, and so now it's just a matter of flattening it all, squashing it all into the tin. Actually, I know I said earlier that this recipe normally didn't fill this tin, but it seems to have filled it. Maybe sometimes I do 3 cups and 3 Mars bars, like 3 cups of rice bubbles and 3 Mars bars instead of 4 and 4. So I actually like this lots better. It's made way more. which is great. The hardest part about this recipe is trying not to eat it as you go, because it's so good. Okay, so you can see there that I've quite easily just flattened that out, so it doesn't need to be perfect. You're going to cover it with melted chocolate anyway, so alright, I'll just scrape these bits off the spoon. Okay, so there it is, all pushed in to the tray. As I said before, it doesn't need to be perfect. So now what we'll do is we will melt the chocolate to pour over the top. Now I find the best way to do this is to actually just put a pot of water onto the stove and heat that so it's boiling, and then to actually sit a bowl in that water. Oops, so it needs to not have too much water in it so it doesn't overflow, and then actually put the chocolate in there so that way then you don't burn the chocolate. So I'll show you once we've got that going. So again, room temperature for the chocolate is best again, just to help with the melting process. And with these ones I've used Cadbury just plain dairy milk chocolate, and these are 200 gram blocks and I'm using 2 of them. So okay, so now I've broken up all the chocolate and put it in the bowl, and you can sort of start to see under there how it's all starting to melt. And that's what you want, because I guess it's like an indirect heat. You're not actually putting the chocolate directly in the pan, so it's not getting that direct heat. It's just getting the steam and the warmth, the heat from the boiling water underneath. So, and I find this works much better. So just keep stirring that until it's completely melted. Okay, so now you can see that chocolate is almost, it is completely melted. There's, obviously it's getting little bubbles in it, but there's no actual bits of hard chocolate anymore. So, alright, and by doing it this way too, you'll actually find that the bowl isn't overly hot. Like I can touch that, I'll be able to hold that now to be able to put that. I've taken it off the heat and I've just set it over here because the heat from the water underneath will actually just keep melting it. So once you've sort of got it started to melt, you can actually take it off the heat and then just let it melt completely. So, alright. Okay, so you can see there I've taken it off out of the saucepan, out of the pot, and now I'm just giving it a quick stir before I pour it onto our Mars bar slice. So, okay, so now I'm just pouring it on. Alright, so I've poured that on, and so now I'm just going to smooth it out while it's still really runny. Take it right round to the edges. Now I'll just sort of smooth that out a little bit. Okay, so then often what I do is I'll just give it a bit of a, you can see how that's smoothing itself out now, just so it sort of fills all the little gaps. You can see over this side it probably just needs, I just try and put a little bit more just down in that little gap down in there. Alright, a little shake. Beautiful. Alright, so now what we do is we pop that in the fridge and let it cool down, and basically as soon as the chocolate on top is hard, it's ready. So you can cut it up and serve it. The other good part about this mixture, guys, is that there's always some left over, so now you get to lick the bowl.